We will be getting started in just 1 minute with our Entrepreneurship Matters webinar series. So welcome, Cynthia and Hayley. Can you join me on the screen?
Hello.
Hello. Let me make sure Cynthia can join us on video. Cynthia, can you turn on your video?
Here we go.
All right. Okay. This is working. This is our first time Facebook Live. So success so far. That's right.
Hey.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say how excited I am to be here today with you two entrepreneurs and to welcome everyone who's in Zoom, but also on Facebook watching us. This is going to be such an exciting conversation. And I've gotten a chance to pre-interview you both. So I know how amazing you are, but I'm glad that we are able to showcase you to the world. Before we get into our discussion, I want to give a little bit of background on why we're here, why we're convening this conversation, and why this is really such an important discussion for us to have at this time. This is a new summer series that was really conceived by one of the youth who works with us at Johns Hopkins on our Youth Advisory Committee. And this is our Entrepreneurship Matters. We wanted to have, and she came up with this $1 million idea. I think you should always give credit to the owner and the creator of great ideas. And that was Camry Moses, who will be featured next week as an entrepreneur. This is a conversation with local up and coming and established entrepreneurs. We know that businesses are not built in a day. Neither are entrepreneurs. And it takes, undiluted passion, multiple failures, which aren't usually failures, lots of grit, and a long-term commitment to really make businesses happen. Today, we are with one of, I think, our nation's greatest up-and-coming entrepreneurs, and certainly one of our nation's greatest established entrepreneurs, to talk about your businesses and the stories behind them. Right? You both have amazing products, amazing things that you're doing, but very rarely do we get to hear the story behind it and what is fueling you as entrepreneurs and the great products that you produce. So that's what this conversation is about. It also is about, for those of you tuning in, how to purchase from small Black-owned businesses, how to, and not just small, but Black-owned businesses, and how to support entrepreneurs from all sorts of backgrounds, Black, white, whatever. And also how, as us who are in businesses, how to get their products in our supply chain. So be thinking about how can I incorporate them into our business, right? So these are amazing entrepreneurs and we are so pleased to have them. Let me introduce them. I'm not gonna give their whole story or their whole bio because I would do injustice to it, but let me first introduce us to Hayley Lowry. Hayley is not only a high academic achiever, she is smart, y'all, but she is also the CEO of Lee Essentials, an all-natural skin care line, making its mark with their body butters. And so you're going to hear from Hayley on how did this even come to be, which I think is going to inspire so many of us of all ages. And then I think everyone knows or should know Cynthia Rumgooding. She is a consummate multipreneur. So not just an entrepreneur, but a multipreneur. She's established 8 businesses, currently running 4. She is the queen of functionality. She's excelled at product, service, e-commerce, brick and mortar retail, and airport specialty experiences, and received countless awards and accolades for her business and mentorship in the community. It's a blessing to have both of you here. Thank you for joining us. And so I think we'll get right into this conversation. That sound good?
Yep.
Okay, great. So why don't we get started by talking a little bit about inspiration, right? And every entrepreneur I've met has been inspired to become an entrepreneur. It usually fields into their why. So why don't we start with you, Cynthia, and then go to Hayley. What inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
I was first inspired to become an entrepreneur when I was about 8 years old. I saw that there was a direct connection between supply and demand. So at 8 years old, I wasn't very good at getting friends. I'm a military brat. And so we moved a lot. So I was always the new girl. So I learned that if I just braided their hair pretty, they would be my friend. And then I realized that I didn't have to buy my friends. And so I started to be paid to braid and bead hair at 8 years old.
Wow. 8. Wow. Hayley, tell us, I know the story, what inspired you. Can you tell us similar, you started young, I mean, you're young, but you started.
My story basically started from when I was born, because I was born with eczema, and it was kind of a challenge for my parents to deal with, and they were kind of on a judgmental side about using medicine on my skin. So they chose to use natural products such as shea butter and coconut oil. And as I grew up and I got used to using natural products on my skin, I was like, I have great results. And then I see other people who have eczema or other skin conditions and they don't know what to use. So I just chose to form my own products using natural ingredients because of my background.
Wow. So how old were you when you launched?
I think I was like 14 because I just turned 15 June 1st. So.
Oh, okay. So really, yeah. That is wonderful. So let me take it back. So you talked about what inspired you to want to be an entrepreneur, but take us through, because there are a lot of people who are on the webinar and also on the web wondering what were the steps that you took to becoming an entrepreneur. So why don't we actually start in reverse order? Why don't we start with Hayley? What were those like concrete steps that you took to starting your business that might be helpful for others?
So I first started off with doing trials. So I started off with a chapstick, and I would buy like a small little chapstick capsules that I can find some ingredients and put them into the tubes, let them freeze, and then try them out on my lips, or give it to a few family and friends and get feedback. Eventually, I got to a good foundation of chapsticks, and then I decided to come up with an idea for something I can use on my body, and that's when the body butter came. And I found that I like that more than the chapstick because like you can use it and it's there on your skin like every day. And then once I got that established, I started the Young Entrepreneurs program with Cabrini University, and they help young entrepreneurs launch their business. They introduce you to great business owners, and you go to events and you get great feedback of how to run your business. And there was a guy there he's the founder and CEO of Scrub Daddy. I don't know if you ever heard of that. But he was there at one of our events, and he was giving great feedback on how to run a business and what are some great suggestions. From going through this program, at the end, I launched it. I presented it in front of some business owners, and I was the second person to get a large amount of money for starting up my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hold on. So I took a couple of takeaways, and then we're going to go to Cynthia. I have a couple of takeaways that you talked about. You talked about one, creating trials. So trying out, you really focused on that product. Then you talked about your friends and family. You actually morphed your product, and then you got training and feedback, which, I'm just writing these down because I think they are important points that we'll send out to those who are on the line of things that you touched upon. Cynthia, how would you say when you started 8 businesses? So what would you say the process of starting the business has been like?
I started the first formal business in 2006. And Hayley, I swear, not only are we both smart girls, I had eczema too, and that was my first product. And I started, now I have a little plus on the research side because I'm a nurse. So I was working in pediatrics at the time, and my daughter was just covered in eczema. And I just, I read labels, and as a nurse, I definitely am interested in ingredients. And I was not happy with the safety or efficacy in what the results would be matched with what the side effects would be. So one of my steps was to make sure that the pH and the ingredients were safe. Safety was my first measure because skin is an organ. I didn't want to have an adverse effect for anyone. And because my baby at the time was 6 months, I definitely had to make sure that it was gentle enough. So my process included things like safety, legalities, ingredients, and that sort of thing. And yeah, me and my daughter was we were our test subjects because her eczema was different from mine, but we both needed relief.
That's it's so interesting. Well, I'm going to pause one because I forgot to say this in the beginning, and I know that someone's probably in the control room getting me. If you have questions, please type them in the Q&A, but also you can text your questions to 22333 and type JHUWL in the message, and I'll get the questions and make sure that Cynthia and Hayley are able to answer them during our second half. Let me make a point of something that both of you said, and I don't think either of you realize this. Your businesses actually started from a place of empathy, right? You had a personal problem that you could have solved from yourself, but created a product that actually could go out into the marketplace so that others wouldn't have to solve that same problem. So similar. So let me ask you this, as you've progressed as business owners, what has been one of your greatest accomplishments? Cynthia, what would you say?
I think we all seek recognition and validation. And in 2015, we were on the Dr. Oz show. So not only as a nurse was I so honored because he was a doctor, but I viewed his stance, his show, his premise as a place that taunted and showcased effective, safe things. And remember, that was my goal. So yeah, in 2015, I thought it was good.
Dr. Oz? Wow, that is amazing. Okay, Hayley, what was your what's been your greatest accomplishment as an entrepreneur?
So far, my greatest accomplishment was completing the YAY program because it was a lot of not dead ends, but like it was a lot of struggles going through it from my marketing, my target market. And I was like, I don't know who I can give this to. But once I finished my business plan and I presented it in front of investors, and I received a lot of, not just saying a lot of money, but a lot of feedback of how to grow my business. That was like something that I felt like I accomplished because I came so far from my research and my trials to receive everything that I got.
So, you segue into a question that I know many people have, and I'm sort of going to pose it now rather than saving it for the question and answers. What you talked about challenges, right? And every day not being the sunshiny day. So can you talk us through sort of like what are the challenges of being a business owner? And I'll start with you, Hayley, just to segue off of that and then move to Cynthia. What are some of the challenges that you face in the industry or just as an entrepreneur generally?
So some challenges were getting too caught up in what I already saw. So if I see a girl, she launched her business and now she's on this TV show and you see her here, and I'm like, I'm not nowhere near there. I need to do it just like that. And I will kind of get too caught up into the what you see on social media that I didn't understand the actual work that has to go behind it, because we all don't have our perfect days. So sometimes I'll have to really just go into my own comfort zone and like write down what you want to do, baby steps first, and then of course everything will come in the future.
That's so important. I think for a lot of folks, just like you, Hayley, they look on social media, they look at other entrepreneurs and see them way, way down, or they see them, standing as these trees, and they don't realize they started as roots, right? Everybody's has a journey, which is so important for you to go on, not to sort of skip ahead. Cynthia, what would you say challenges? You've had you've probably been many different industries.
Many different challenges.
What have been the challenges that you've faced?
Well, I do want to first say to Hayley, smoke and mirrors are real. So we cannot measure our successes by the filtered lives on Instagram. Please, if you don't remember anything else. Also, remember Beauty and the Beast is a beautiful story, and Cinderella is a beautiful story. Everybody's stories, pathways look different. Enjoy your journey, love, okay? So to speak about some of my challenges, unlike Hayley, I have the wonderful gift of the blinders. I'm very, 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 very focused. So I'm really not paying attention to what other people are doing. And sometimes that is a hindrance. The challenges I have is it was always funding for me. And it's a deep rooted area that a lot of entrepreneurs live in. I can do it, or I can do it better, or I have to do it all. I had to learn how to release some things so that my gift and my talents and my magic is better used in what I'm great at, and let someone else do other things that I needed, but that they were great at.
Oh, you know what? That is such a, both of you said two things that I think would preach a whole world. I mean, I think, Hayley's, comments about, not that comparison, that false comparison. I mean, Cynthia, you just talking about, not thinking about the filtered stories, enjoying the journey. And then, I think the points you're making are so powerful for folks who maybe at day 1 or maybe at day 10 of their business, or maybe at day 250 of their business. What would you say is your vision? So you talked about the journey, and let me start with you, Cynthia. You talked about enjoying the journey of entrepreneurship. And if you enjoy the journey, you have to have a vision for where that journey is going. What would you have a vision for your business?
And I want to present this answer in a comparison type way.
Sure.
To help anybody who is struggling with what theirs is for them. So the vision for my company is, I'm grateful to still be linked to the reason I started. I wanted to create safe, effective skincare. So that doesn't mean on these shelves, in that store, liked by this one or that one. It means safe, effective skincare for whomever purchases it. So what that looks like to me is millions of people using safe, effective skincare. I don't need to be placed in a particular store. I don't need to be featured on a particular magazine or any of that, because the goal is to continuously produce safe, effective skincare.
That's so powerful, so powerful. How about you, Hayley? What's your vision for Lee Essentials?
I would say my vision is confidence, because I know sometimes even outside of your skin, it could be something internal or mental that people go through that can cause them to forget who they are or what their goal is. And with my skincare, it's like you apply it to your skin to enhance your beauty, but not just to enhance it for your confidence to get stronger and for you to be confident in yourself, because you need to make sure that, yes, I look nice, but also mentally I am there as well.
So beyond the product, and as you think about the products, and Hayley, yours is on the way. I know it's coming in I have Cynthia's product. I've been trying it for the last 3 days. It's amazing. I mean, your products are phenomenal. And I just think that, the vision that both of you have for your products, like you're living it out, providing that to the community. Let me ask you this, because a lot of people, I think, that become entrepreneurs, and I know a number of folks, I can see the attendees, so I see a number of individuals who I buy products from as well, that are tuned in. What is the big surprise? So, Cynthia, you're a nurse. People think of entrepreneurship in one way. What's the biggest surprise you would say for folks as they enter entrepreneurship? What's the biggest surprise you say?
I think that people think entrepreneurship is the easy way out. They think that they don't have people to answer to. My last job as a nurse, I was a site administrator. So I had the CEO and the COO above me, and that's it. So I had tons of staff. And people are like, I'm going to go in business because I don't want to answer to anybody. I have 12,000 people on my email list that I have to answer to. Every late shipment, every disc didn't arrive. I thought I ordered. Honey, this is not the easy way out. You are accountable for the messaging, the product, the brand, the understanding, the everything. So you work very hard. You definitely work more than 8 hours a day, and you have lots of people to answer. So some people think, I'm gonna be the boss. Yeah, you the boss of the people to answer to.
That's an interesting framing, because a lot of people like, I'm gonna be my own boss. Bosses when you become an entrepreneur. Hayley, what's the biggest surprise you've had?
I totally agree with Miss Cynthia, because when I started with my business, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a few chapsticks, I'm gonna make a few body butters, give them to family, friends, make some money, cool. And then when I actually start getting into it, looking into research, like licenses that you need to have a business, and people who actually want to do more with you with your business. And then it's like, oh, Mom, I have to reply to this email, or this person followed me on Instagram. Now they want me to do this for them. It's just like a lot of everything that pops up in front of you. And it's like you have to take a step back from it, but it's nothing that, it's not a walk down the street. It's not that easy.
Now, let me ask you a follow-up question to something that both of you just talked about, this idea of having different bosses in the sense of like your customers, right? Like their demands. But you also both talked about the messaging, the product, the brand. So can you talk a little bit about the brand? Because so many people talk about building a brand, becoming a brand, all those things. Can you walk us through a little bit, start with Cynthia, about like what is building a brand, which you have done effectively? What does that entail? What does that encompass?
Okay, so my understanding, and I even, I've said this many times, branding and marketing are very different. Brand, to me, branding is the look and feel of your product or service that people receive when you're not around. Marketing is the wording that you use to describe your products and services. So when people think of my brand, and even though we don't want to sometimes, you are your brand, your actions, your words, your mannerisms, your customer service. When people think of my brand, I
Mhm.
want them to immediately feel it's worthy of the price that's on the jar,
Yep.
that they're going to get what they're paid for and probably more. So what that does is if I have a chapstick today and an eczema cream tomorrow, next week when I introduce a body wash or hand shampoo, they are already lined up to buy it because
Yeah.
the brand has
Yeah.
made them feel that it's going to deliver on what the promise was.
Yeah. No, excellent, excellent distinction. Hayley, what would you say?
I would say that it's about being consistent
Mm,
and not really switching up the script on your customers. If you sell something that is all natural and then you come out with a new product that has like a hint of acidic something to it, and a customer that is used to getting natural products and is relying on you to have all natural or organic products, and then you surprise them with something that makes their skin goes into hives, that's not a good look. So my thing is just to make sure I always do my research on my products to understand what they do for the skin, but also why it's good for the skin.
yeah, you know what's so I mean, both of you, how old are you, Hayley? 15?
Yeah.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You've been here a while. You've been here a while. You both talk so well about what the cornerstone, and what's really interesting is that both of you center around your product, right? As the driving force in your business. And when you talked Cynthia about making sure that it is what the product is what you said it would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
That when you have the product, what is it? And I think let me make sure I have it. It's the description of the product or the feel of the product when you are not around,
Right.
as a business owner, right? So
Right.
so perceptive. And Hayley, you're consistent. What you talked about in terms of being consistent. Because yeah, you know how I'll give you a little story. My mom used to talk about this soda company, right? Talks about this soda company. And the soda company switched up its recipe at some point. And everyone who would buy the soda company stopped. They just didn't buy it anymore. Because the recipe started tasting different. And that was a promise that was broken to the customer.
Yeah.
And then to win them back, it took so much. So both of you you could both preach a word, but also teach a class on product development and branding and marketing. Let me make sure I get to all. You have so many, so many questions coming in. So let me get started with some of these questions because I'm afraid we're going to run out of time. But we're going to make sure everyone knows how to get in contact with you, but more importantly, how to buy your products as well, and how we can get you into our supply chains. Because again, we're having Entrepreneurship Matters, and entrepreneurship only matters if we demonstrate that it matters, right?
Right.
So we have to demonstrate that it matters by buying product and making sure that when we're in places of influence, that we try to get people into the supply chain in whatever way we can. So both of you have amazing products. Let me get to some of these questions so people don't think I'm not. How do you, we have a young person on the line that has this question for you, Hayley. How do you work around the problems of signing business contracts as a minor? You have a power of attorney with an adult, or how are you navigating that?
Well, right now it's with my parents. It's always like, since I can't fill out anything because I am not 18 and older, it's always well, I will always understand what it is, but it's of my mom or my dad helping me out understanding and going through that process. So I can't always do it myself. I will understand why it's there and why I need it, but I can't do much about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's a really important question. This is for both of you. And this is probably going to take a while for you to answer because this is someone on the line that I think is, this woman on the line says her husband's actually been making body butters for 2 years. He's been working through trials, as you said, giving them to family and friends. Some respond, some don't. But she believes he has a good product now. Just curious, how did you know when to stop improving your product and that the mix you had was the right one? So I think both of you talked about sort of improving the product, making it better. How did you know when to stop and launch into the business? Let me start with Hayley and then Cynthia.
So that's exactly what I was going through during my trial process, because I was like, maybe this is good, but what could be better? And I had to get to a point that I had to actually accept what I have and understand that I can't meet everybody's expectations, but I can understand that this is a great product and that it does do great things for the skin. I had great responses and improvements. So you can't always focus on what could be better, just always accept what you have and understand that your product is great.
Cynthia, you've probably gone through this multiple times. Like, when you get to the point when you know it's good. I think Hayley gave a really good point. There comes a point where you have to make that demarcation. You have to go with it and realize you can't please everyone. How did you make that launch?
So for me, it was, I definitely wanted to enter into the market, and I didn't want to just be natural, because the FDA has never determined what natural is. So you'll hear me say safe and effective. Yeah. And I use botanicals that are spa grade and organic and vegan. So that was going to be my differentiator. So once I sifted through organic, vegan, and spa grade, I then did a cost analysis. It's like having a mansion on the block where other homes are 200,000. It doesn't make sense. So in the marketplace, if the average price is $7.99 to $11.99, although I love argan butter from Morocco, I had to get mine from somewhere else. It had to be spa grade. You understand? So once you go through what you wanted your ingredients to be, you do have to consider cost analysis, because this is a business. So that is how I stopped at the butters that I decided on. There's like 50 left that I have yet to do something with. And you do have to decide, is your why, your mission, safe, effective, vegan, organic, in this jar? And is it going to be cost effective?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. Great question. I hope that was helpful to, let me ask you this. And there's a question of, when did you reach your break-even point? I think it's a good segue from what you just asked to answer, Cynthia. And I'd also like to pose it to you, Hayley. But Cynthia, when did you reach your break-even point and determine your operating costs, right? So how did you say, like, this goes, it's amazing product, which, hold on, not that one, this one that I used this morning, the shower souffle. How did you determine you're going to break even with this? I'm going to become profitable with this. When along your journey, did that happen?
So a lot of errors that I made in the beginning, I wanted each product in a different jar. That's a problem. I had 22 cents. That's a problem. So after sitting down and realizing that this was taking up jar space and this wasn't selling as fast as this, and I was reordering cases of jars when this product was still holding up a jar, you have to analyze everything from the label, the lid, the jar, the fragrance, the ingredient, and the time it took. So I started in 2006. By the time I sifted through all the errors, I finally realized that I needed 6 jars to cover 22 products and have some of the quality duplicated in several products to decrease my overhead. And I finally became, and what we mean by profitable is all the bills are paid and this is what's left in 2011.
So 5-year journey of
5 years.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Most
Yeah.
people think it happens overnight.
Oh my goodness, no.
No night is that long, right? It's not, no
No,
night is that long. Yeah,
not
that's
that
right.
long night. Yeah.
Hayley, what would you say? How did you get to the point where you were saying, I've broken even, now I'm profitable? How did you get to that point?
From me creating my target market, and then of course, as what Miss Cynthia said, of going through my numbers, and then looking at what my product cost would be compared to my competitors or people who are doing the same thing. Because if Carol's daughter is selling their body butter for 1975, I can't go in the market with $57.18. I can't, that just wouldn't add up. So I had to go through my numbers and actually understand why I'm selling it for $20. And then when I would put it online, why the $5 for shipping would be included, because this needs to pay for this needs to pay for that. So it was some things that had to go into everything for me to establish a cost.
Mm-hmm. The both of you talked about something. I think I know there are many people who are trying to create products, and I think there's an interesting point that you both made about packaging, right, of these products, right? You say you had 10 different jars to begin with. You had, and Hayley, I don't know how many jars you came up with at the beginning. How do you make those determinations? How are you making that, evaluation as you're going along? And sort of, if you knew then what you know now, how would you adjust, and how did you adjust? I'll start with sorry about that. I'll start with Cynthia.
Let me tell you, change is never easy. I don't know if you guys have ever went to get your favorite product sent and it's out. A lot of our decisions are controlled by the manufacturers. So when we look at cost and deciding on a jar, we have to also know if the manufacturers we're using are able to fulfill it. I try to always use American-made manufacturers. And let me tell you, it's very tempting to go overseas because it will lower my costs. But in the overall grand scheme of things, all things considered, we did go with an American-made local Baltimore jarring company, and we shifted.
Give their name. Give
It's two.
That's okay. I'll put you on the spot.
Okay. Yeah, one is by St. Agnes. It's a shame I don't know their name, but you go down there and you make a laugh. It begins with E. I really should remember who they are.
That's okay.
We order, like 1,000 to 2,000 jars at a time from them. They had good practices, but the decision started with, okay, they got to be local, American made. So let's see what they have. So that was really the first sift. And then the second one was the cost analysis and what the market is doing. So there was no need for me to have a 2, 4, 6, and 8 ounce when the market is doing 2 ounces and 8 ounces. So did this jar come in this size from this vendor and can fit into my cost analysis, because I know this is how much I want to make.
I see. Great, excellent points. Hayley, did you have how did you go through packaging and that product development? We actually have a few questions that are coming out. Entrepreneurs that are tuning in, trying to figure out how to pick their style for packaging. What did you think through, Hayley?
My challenge with my packaging was always size, and it's also what it looked like, but it was always a size issue. It was, okay, let me start off with an 8 ounce. And I didn't think an 8 ounce was small until I heard somebody's feedback, and they're saying, if you sell your product for 8 ounces, you're not going to get as many customers because it's going to last long. So nobody's going to use up an 8 ounce in 1 week and then purchase another body butter. And I was like, that does make sense, because I need customers, of course, to come in, but I don't want to give them something and then it's just that's it. So also, it's what gets somebody's eye. If I would look on a shelf and I'm seeing a lot of white labels and I'm seeing a lot of green and yellow bottles, what's something that's simple that can stand out? Maybe it's just a black container with some colorful, colors on the label and good description.
Good point. And who helped you did you have any local companies you used for your packaging, or how do you?
The labels, I got my labels from Lightning Labels. That company, I know that Bath and Body Works gets their labels from them. And container wise, I started off with Container and Packaging. That's the name. I'm not sure where they're located, but that's what I started off with.
Okay, great. And then we have a couple of questions on that. Let me ask you this. Another question that came in: how did you learn? And do you think schools should help, and should foster the innovation, the invention, the innovation, the business management that you all seem to have had to really, not to say this, but go out of your way, right? Really stretch to learn. You think that should be incorporated in schools? What could we be doing better? I know this is a teacher who wrote this. What could we be doing better to make sure that we are fostering an environment where we're allowing for people to invent, to innovate, and what are your thoughts on that? Cynthia?
So, this is near and dear to my heart, because remember I said I'm a nurse.
Yes.
I went through nursing school and was trained to function in a safety first kind of mindset. And here I am. I became a nurse when I was 19. I went to college early and graduated early and did that at 19. And what happened at 40, I totally quit nursing. And I am a full-time entrepreneur. And I wish that education and people in charge of education would see that entrepreneurs hire, we create jobs, and we support the ecosystem of capitalism in America, just through a different model. I think that entrepreneurship is initially seen as a threat to capitalism. It's not, it's a pipeline. So if you took children whose brains are just so ripe and ready for molding, even if they never become an entrepreneur, they have a mindset of accountability and a work ethic that can be built in the same way social studies is and math is. It will inherently increase capitalism and help the economy overall, because now you've molded this mind of this person who can make a difference with a different mindset.
Absolutely. I think those are just powerful points about mindset. Entrepreneur being a mindset. It is that could be taught. Hayley, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're still in high school.
Yeah.
I would graduate you today if you're a principal or your teacher. So what do you think about incorporating what you sort of went outside of your school environment to learn, as you said? How would you incorporate it into school?
Well, since I go to Science Leadership Academy at Bieber, I do know there are a few entrepreneurs there. But what I also know is there's not a specific club or a class for that. And I know, I could say my generation, we get bored.
You can say that, your whole generation.
Oh yeah, I could say we do get bored quickly. And it's not in a negative or a positive way. It's just something that happens because we're used to what social media is, something coming like this, quick and right there at the moment. And if we don't have something that can be something to help us be entrepreneurs, but also to allow our minds to not be stuck in one place, it could be a club for wanting to be entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, and not just sitting in a classroom going online on a computer, because that's what we do every day, but also getting out to see this is an actual Black-owned business that's right here on, I don't know, Broad in Allegheny, and it's upcoming, and you should go here and understand where did that person start from. And it should be more of a hands-on. Let me say that, a hands-on, because if you see on sometimes in school you can get the choices of what clubs you want to be in, or if you want to be in art or engineering. And if you see a choice of entrepreneurship, some kids don't know what that is. And some kids are like, I heard that before, but like that's like something my mom does. So it's not really something that's going to capture our attention, because one, we don't know about it, but two, we have this mindset of we're going to be sitting on a class on our computers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, Hayley, I think you brought up some interesting point. I don't know if you can see the chat, but I can see the chat. And Cam, who I told you about, the amazing young woman who really was the brainchild for this entrepreneurship series. You know, she amens you in the sense that she says, you know, it should definitely be in schools, should be clubs, you know, and really, you know, again, to your point, Cynthia, talking about that fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Right.
It really would help to shift our young people. Let me go back to your product development, because I see a number of questions around that topic. What did you choose? And I know, Hayley, you talked about moving from a lip balm into a body butter, and Cynthia, you talked about in many ways the pivots you made in your product development. What made you, what did you choose, or how did you choose which product to launch first? Like, what's the product you're going to say, this is the one that we're going to launch first into the marketplace? Cynthia, how'd you make that determination?
Like most entrepreneurs, we're feeling a need, a niche, or a void, right? It isn't there. So with Hayley and I both having eczema, we wanted relief for ourselves. Yes. So that was kind of an easy answer for us. But I could tell you that other entrepreneurs, they see a red balloon and no blue balloons, and they know the color blue that they like. So they're feeling a void. So you have to also take that initial need, like your why, like you said, and then you have to be smart and calculating and see where is that going to fit in the market, if it is going to fit, how it's going to fit, and then ask yourself, why me? Why would they choose me? Why would they choose my product? And mine screams safety. Yeah, babies have eczema, so you want to be safe. So it was easy for us because, of course, we both had the need, and to just sift mine down a little more, it had to be safe. There's a lot of eczema products on the market. Mine screams safety, so that was first.
That's a good point. Hayley, what did you go through a similar process? How did you come to? I know you switched from doing the lip balm to the body butter. What made you launch that first?
So I chose the body butter because, I don't know, something about it was just more comforting than the lip balm. I felt like I was doing a lot of trials with the lip balm more than the body butter, and I wanted to work on it to do more research of what I can improve about something for the lips. But the body butter was, well, when I started my trial and giving them out and trying them on my skin, and then doing little fixing in different areas, I realized like this is something I'm comfortable with. Like this is something that I would buy if it's not just for me, if it's from anybody. If it's in the store for a good price and it does what my product is doing for my skin, I'm comfortable with that.
Excellent. Here's so somebody must know you, Cynthia. They're on the line. They talked about Antler Packaging Company. Is that where you buy your?
Yes.
Antler Packaging Company in
And they're
Baltimore,
local.
Maryland. I just gave you a commercial on this webinar. But that is where Cynthia gets her packaging from, which is amazing. It's really nice they're really nice product. I keep saying that, but really great products. Let me ask you this. We have another question that's come in around this question of failure, right? And how did you not? All of you talked about. I I actually think there is no such thing as failure, right? I think there are moments when you need to pivot. But I don't think that you fail. You learn or you don't. So what's a point that you now look back on and you're like, oh, that looked like wasn't going too well, but it was a pivot point to lead you to something greater. Cynthia and then Hayley.
Okay, so let's talk about packaging, Hayley. So when I first came out, right, I said, oh, I'm going to use recycled jars. I don't want to be harmful to the environment. I'm going to use brown paper labels. Better for the environment. It might have been better for the environment, but the people couldn't see the ink on it. It would get wet in the shower, and people would say, I want to reorder, but I don't know what it is. And it's like, oh my goodness. So if I could say anything to anybody that is thinking about a business model, write it down and then play devil's advocate. Question it. Because those brown labels, honey, you know how many customers I lost, they would see me again and they would have it in their purse and say, I want to order, but I don't even know what it is.
Oh,
it's like, the end result didn't meet the goal. So the labeling and trying to be super green and super safe was not helping my product.
Hayley, what was your pivot point? We won't call it failure, we'll call it something else. What was your pivot point?
My pivot point was, how could I say this? I guess I would say it didn't look like something I would buy. Like when I would, now the product inside the container was great. The outside, I was like, if I'm in a store and I see this, I'm not gonna buy that. It's just not something that I would buy myself. Now, if I knew how it felt, then forget what it looks like. But if I didn't, I wouldn't buy it. So I changed my packaging because I wanted to not compare it to what's on the shelves, but something that could look like it could be approved to be on the shelf.
Oh, good point.
Good point. Really thinking about that first customer. Why would they buy it when people have options, right?
Yeah.
Very, very good point. Let me ask you a couple, and we have a couple of questions that have come in, actually, that have been texted to that 22333 JHUL in the message line. So how has your business been impacted by COVID? We actually just got that question in. Have you seen any change in your business? How are you dealing with that?
Is it
Oh, Hayley, yes.
Okay. So for COVID, honestly, I feel like there hasn't been any change. I know that I've always used gloves when I make my products, so it wasn't like something that was I don't know if I need to change what I use when I make my product. And I just got regular customers, of course, always wear the mask when I would go to the post office. And that was really it. I could say something that probably did impact it that I don't know if it did or not, but was if somebody feels safe enough to use it, knowing it is homemade, because if you're going over somebody else's house, you don't know if they might have it and you're not sure if it might be in this. I do know that could be some sort of judgment, but it hasn't affected my business.
How about you, Cynthia?
And Hayley, I'm happy that you thought of that, because that is a real conversation a customer would have with themselves. So our company was affected by the suppliers. Shipping was delayed. So it was good and bad. Our online sales increased at like 43%, which is great. Oh, that was great. But they had to wait longer because I had to wait longer for the bulk ingredients.
Yeah, so it's interesting how, on one hand, supply chain, right? So where you're getting your product from can impact you, while the demand can still be so great.
Still be up, yeah.
Yep. Let me ask you this. This is a question we've gotten actually a couple of times. through the text, and people want to know your mentors or your accountability partners. I think what both of you have talked about, and I don't even think you realized it, you talked about this community of people that are your network. You tested your products out on your friends and family. You had this network. Who are your accountability partners as you have progressed, been on your entrepreneurship journey?
I have struggled with getting mentors. And I even I got a book on like how to get a mentor. So in 2017, I was a scholar of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program here in Baltimore. And in that group, I met, so I'm like so smart. Hayley, I'm smart like you. My IQ is 154. And I always had a struggle finding somebody that I can bounce all this brain activity off of. And I joined that cohort and met a bunch of brainiacs. So that was amazing. So since 2017, I may not have found a mentor, but I found a wonderful group of extra smart people just like me. And since then, we have still kept in touch. We still hold each other accountable because you have to find your tribe, because entrepreneurship can be a silo. It can be a very lonely silo because everybody isn't wired this way. But when you do, you hold on to them. And I offer myself to Hayley to be her mentor.
Oh, Hayley, you just got gold. You are winning. You are winning. How about you, Hayley? How did you build your you have mentors, accountability partners? How are you building your network or your tribe, as Cynthia put it?
So it really started off with, of course, going back to the GABE program, because there are teachers there who help the students, such as myself, with improving our brand and our product. So going through this program they were kind of like a mentor, and then they actually brought in mentors because they assigned it, and then you can sit down through like an hour or two of the class, and they're like, okay, well, let's go through this step by step, and let's see what can we improve, what can we decrease in your cost. And if it wasn't for those mentors, because the teachers can't help out everybody at that moment, I don't think I would be where I'm at, honestly. Like, because I was able to have a one-on-one discussion with somebody who has experience with running a business or has background information with business that helped me with Lee Essential.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that both of you have pressed upon us is that you need mentors, right? They are essential, whether you're an entrepreneur. So somebody might be on here and they say, you know what, I have the spirit, but the flesh is weak. So I'm not going to be an entrepreneur. I just heard you. I am a true believer in mentoring. It is so vital. And both of you, you can't live every lesson you're supposed to learn. That's what mentoring's about. Actually, someone in the chat, I won't give it to everybody, but there's a great person that they put in there for you, Cynthia.
And tell Winifred that I just joined on Monday.
All right.
So they right on time. I joined Monday.
All right, great. It's called Traffic, Sales, Profit.
Traffic, Sales, and Profit. It is
Traffic,
worthy.
Sales, Profit.
Yes.
So if any of you are on, we'll try to make sure we get that out to everybody. But that's
he's a Maryland native doing amazing things in Atlanta. But when I tell you that tribe of winners, I just joined that group on Monday.
Wow. Wow, that's a testimonial. Wow. Why don't we have about 2 minutes to go. Couple of things I want to make sure we do before we conclude. First of all, I want to I know everybody on Facebook can't do this, but everybody in the webinar, if you could just give a hand up, just a round of applause for Cynthia as well as Hayley. You both are so inspiring.
Thank you.
I wish you could see yourself through my eyes, and then you would know why I almost need sunglasses, but I don't have them. I don't have them close. couple of things. I want to make sure people know how to get in contact with you, how to get your products. And we actually, before the show, we started, we had all of your information up, but I'm going to give it to them now. We're also going to post this on our JH Connects Facebook page. I'm going to keep advertising you and making sure people know about you, your products, and more importantly, buy. As Cynthia as well as Hayley said, entrepreneurs are the foundation of our country. Cynthia pointed it out. She buys local, so that means that every purchase, and Hayley, every purchase that you're buying from them actually creates jobs and opportunities that have a ripple effect in our community. That's why it's so important to buy from folks. So let me give all of your information. So Cynthia, you have a website, which is www.fashionspahouse.com. That's one word. Your Facebook, you're at Fashion Spa House TM. And on Instagram, you are at Fashion Spa House. We can also go to your website, right? You have another website, which is ANASA Life. Don't worry if you're not taking it all down. It will be on, we'll put it on our JH Connects, and we'll make sure you get all this information on our website. And then for Hayley's website is Miss Lee Essentials. So it's bit.ly/Miss Lee Essentials. And you can follow her on Instagram at Lee Essentials _, Facebook at Lee Essentials, and LinkedIn. You got LinkedIn, girl. You're 15. Look at this. Lee Essentials again. So excellent job. So you have set the bar so high. We thankfully have two entrepreneurs next week, which are going to meet the bar and for our entrepreneurship series. Many of you may know these two entrepreneurs. Camry Moses, who I talked about, she's our up and coming entrepreneur. She's the founder of KRS Smoothies. So it's KR Smoothies. And then we have Eula McDowell. Many of you may know Eula. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful entrepreneur. Oh, part of my heart. She is just like Cam. She's the founder of the Big Bean Theory.
Yes.
And wonderful. So also tonight, if you're a parent, we're going to have a webinar again tonight on the topic of how to keep your kids safe. So many of your kids who are entrepreneurs, your kids are wanting to play football, and they're signing up for basketball and soccer and volleyball. They're also going swimming. We know that it's hard to keep your young people from doing those things. We want to make sure that they're safe. And we want to make sure during this COVID period that we are ensuring that people aren't being impacted by that negatively. Our entrepreneurship, we have a webinar tonight. Our next webinar on entrepreneurship is on next Thursday, same time, same place. Also that evening, we will be having a sexual and reproductive health one. So that's really a good one. It's going to be Maria Trent. If you don't know Dr. Maria Trent, we've secured her. You want to be at that webinar if you haven't. Please follow us on @JH Connects. Tell your friends to follow us. We're going to be featuring businesses. We're going to be featuring Fashion Spa House, as well as Lee Essentials and so many others. It's a way to really connect into our community. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Hayley, like you, we're on LinkedIn as well. Oh, we have Winifred's giving you something too. Dandra Beauty. We want to again thank you to our community partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health System, Hopkins Local, and the Mayor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business. I also want to give a huge shout out to my colleague, Audrey Johnson, who has been tremendous in putting this all together behind the scenes. We also have an amazing partner in crime who's also a professor at our Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, Vanya Jones. And we also have an amazing intern who is in Johns Hopkins School of Business, the Carey School of Business, Kevin Sample, who's also been very helpful, as well as Tamika Johnson and with the 10KSB. She's the alumni coordinator, as well as my amazing colleague, Kylie Patterson, with who is our director of economic education. Just want to say thank you to all of them. And thank you for all of you for joining us. Thank you, Cynthia and Hayley.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch, and we appreciate you helping us to see why entrepreneurship matters. So with that, close out, and we'll talk to you all, see you all again next week.
And I have a coupon code for anyone on the line right now.
Oh, what's the coupon code?
My birthday was the other day. I turned 46. So it's 46% off if they use their promo code birthday when they check out.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I have something to do for the next 15 minutes, and gotta make some orders. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.